Cities and community groups are looking into community land trusts as a tool because they're facing affordability crises all over the country. And part of the reason is that markets have been left to do what markets do, which is to go up or down at will. And the community land trust is really trying to take the house out of that kind of up and down and keep it in a more stable situation.
Lovely. How can we afford it?
Community Land Trust is a nonprofit organization. It serves a specific community generally, and they have a board that's made up of people from that area who have a vested interest in having permanently affordable housing. And they do that by either acquiring or building or renovating a home. And when they sell that home, they are selling only the home itself. The land underneath, the CLT retains ownership of. So someone who is lower moderate income and who may not be able to qualify for a house, for a mortgage on their own, in this kind of a program, the total price is much lower. And in exchange for that lower price, the owner agrees that when they decide to sell the house, there will be restrictions on how much they can sell it for. And that relationship is governed by a ground lease. The Community Land Trust is doing two things. One is they're advertising and marketing to the community to find people who are interested in being part of the program. So during that process, they're working with those people to make sure that they're income eligible, to make sure that their credit is good, to make sure that they understand what this agreement means if they buy this house. Meanwhile, they're also raising funds to acquire land or to acquire a home that they renovate and make for sale. Other housing nonprofits that are doing home ownership provide a down payment assistance to the home buyer, but the home buyer then owns the home and the land. When that homeowner decides to sell, they can sell it for whatever the market will bear. And that's the primary difference. One of the first benefits is that you've become a homeowner, and that means you can take the mortgage interest deduction. You are living in generally a much more stable living environment than you had before. We find that families who have been renting are moving every couple of years or more often, and so now you've got a stable place where you're going to stay for hopefully a long time. The other benefit is that if you run into trouble financially within your family, let's say somebody loses a job and you're having difficulty making your mortgage, generally the Community Land Trust is the first place that you tell about your circumstances. And they can often help you make it through that period, or they can try and buy back the home from you before it goes into foreclosure. And during the recent foreclosure crisis, Community Land Trust homeowners had 1/10 of the foreclosure rate of all other homeowners. So we think the more that local governments know about them and understand how they work, the more interest there'll be over time.